What if everything you thought you knew about rap beef was only part of the story? What if the biggest feuds in hip-hop history were never just about lyrics, diss tracks, or personal rivalries? What if, behind every viral moment, every explosive interview, and every headline-making confrontation, there was an entirely different game being played? One built on influence, strategy, business power, and carefully controlled narratives. For decades, hip-hop fans have been captivated by competition. Rivalries have fueled some of the culture's most unforgettable moments, creating stories that live on far beyond the music itself. From legendary battles that define generations to modern-day conflicts that dominate social media timelines, rap beef has always been one of the most fascinating aspects of the industry. But recently, a new conversation has begun to take shape. At the center of that conversation stands a man who has built an entire career on speaking his mind, regardless of who it might upset. A man known for challenging powerful figures, questioning industry narratives, and exposing what he believes happens behind closed doors. That man is 50 Cent. And according to growing discussions throughout the entertainment world, 50 Cent has been drawing attention to something many fans have suspected for years: the possibility that rap beef at the highest levels of the industry isn't handled the way most people think it is. This time, the spotlight has shifted toward two of hip-hop's most influential and successful figures, Drake and Jay-Z. These aren't just ordinary artists. They are global brands. They are cultural powerhouses. And they represent two different eras of dominance within hip-hop. As conversations continue to spread online, fans are beginning to ask questions that go far beyond who won a particular rap battle or who delivered the better diss track. Instead, they're asking something much bigger. How are these conflicts really managed behind the scenes? Who controls the narrative when tensions erupt? What role do business interests play when some of the biggest names in entertainment find themselves at the center of controversy? And perhaps most importantly, are there strategies being used that the public never gets to see? These questions have become impossible to ignore. Because while rap beef has always been part of hip-hop culture, the industry itself has changed dramatically over the years. In its earliest days, competition often felt direct and uncomplicated. Artists battled for respect, credibility, and lyrical superiority. The focus remained largely on the music itself. But today's music industry operates on an entirely different level. Streaming platforms generate billions of plays. Social media can turn a single comment into worldwide news within minutes. Podcasts, blogs, reaction channels, and online communities analyze every lyric, every interview, every public appearance, and every social media post. In this environment, perception can be just as powerful as talent. And that's exactly where many believe the real game begins. Few people have discussed this side of the industry more openly than 50 Cent. Throughout his career, he has earned a reputation for being fearless when it comes to controversy. Whether confronting rivals directly, commenting on industry politics, or questioning the motives of powerful figures, 50 has consistently positioned himself as someone willing to say what others won't. Because of that reputation, whenever he speaks about the business side of hip-hop, people pay attention. Not necessarily because they always agree with him, but because his comments often force fans to think differently about what they're watching. According to many observers, Drake and Jay-Z represent two very different forms of power within the music industry. Drake's influence comes largely from his unmatched reach and cultural relevance. For more than a decade, he has dominated charts around the world, shattered streaming records, and maintained a level of visibility few artists have ever achieved. His every move becomes a topic of discussion. His music generates headlines. His rivalries become global conversations. And because of his enormous audience, every conflict involving Drake attracts intense public attention. Supporters argue that he earned this position through consistency, adaptability, and an extraordinary ability to connect with listeners. Critics, meanwhile, suggest that such overwhelming influence can create advantages that other artists simply don't possess. Regardless of where people stand, one thing remains undeniable. Drake's presence changes the scale of any conversation he's involved in. Then there's Jay-Z. Unlike many artists whose influence is measured primarily through music sales and streaming numbers, Jay-Z's power extends far beyond the recording studio. Over the years, he transformed himself from one of hip-hop's most respected rappers into one of the entertainment industry's most influential entrepreneurs. His business ventures, investments, partnerships, and industry relationships have elevated him into a category few artists ever reach. Because of that evolution, many fans no longer view him solely as a musician. They view him as a strategist, a businessman, a power broker, someone operating on an entirely different level of the industry. And that perception has fueled countless debates. Some admire his ability to remain above unnecessary conflicts while maintaining enormous influence. Others believe his strategic approach allows him to protect both his brand and his legacy more effectively than many of his peers. Whatever the truth may be, one fact remains clear. When figures as powerful as Drake and Jay-Z become part of a larger discussion about influence and rap beef, every detail matters. Every response is analyzed. Every silence is examined. Every relationship is scrutinized. And every public move is interpreted as part of a much larger strategy. This is exactly why 50 Cent's comment continued to generate so much attention. Because whether fans agree with him or not, he consistently challenges people to look beyond the surface, to question what they're being told, to examine who benefits from certain narratives, and to consider the possibility that the public only sees a fraction of what's really happening behind the scenes. In an era where image, influence, and perception can shape entire careers, those questions have become more important than ever. And as we dive deeper into this story, we'll explore the history, the controversies, the speculation, and the power dynamics that continue to fuel one of hip-hop's most fascinating discussions. Because when some of the biggest names in the industry are involved, the truth is rarely as simple as it first appears. And what we're about to uncover may completely change the way you view rap beef forever. As we reach the end of this story, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. The world of hip-hop is far more complex than most people realize. What begins as a diss track, a social media post, or a public disagreement often turns into something much bigger. Behind every headline, every viral clip, and every public feud lies a web of relationships, business interests, personal ambitions, and power dynamics that most fans never get to see. Whether you agree with 50 Cent's perspective or not, his comments have sparked an important conversation, one that forces people to look beyond the surface and ask difficult questions about how influence really works in today's music industry. When names like Drake and Jay-Z enter the discussion, those questions become even more significant. These are not simply artists competing for chart positions. They are cultural icons whose decisions can shape conversations across the entire entertainment landscape. And that's why so many fans remain fascinated. Because the debate isn't only about who won a battle. It's about who controls the narrative. It's about who has the power to influence public perception. It's about understanding the difference between what's happening in front of the cameras and what may be taking place behind closed doors. In today's era, where social media moves faster than ever and public opinion can shift overnight, Perception has become one of the most valuable forms of power. A single narrative can build a reputation, damage a legacy, or completely change the way an artist is viewed by millions of people around the world. That reality has transformed rap beef into something much larger than music alone. And perhaps that's exactly what keeps audiences coming back for more. The mystery, the speculation, the unanswered questions, the possibility that there is always another layer beneath the story everyone sees. As fans continue debating the roles of 50 Cent, Drake, Jay-Z, and countless others, one thing remains certain: the conversation is far from over. New information will emerge. New rivalries will develop. New headlines will dominate social media. And the ongoing battle for influence, relevance, and control will continue shaping the future of hip-hop. But now we want to hear from you. Do you believe modern rap beef is still mainly about lyrical competition? Or has it become a strategic game driven by business interests, public relations, and industry influence? Do you think artists control their own narratives, or are larger forces helping shape what the public sees? And whose approach do you respect most? 50 Cent's willingness to challenge the system, Drake's dominance in the spotlight, or Jay-Z's long-term strategic power moves? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because this conversation is only getting started. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation into the stories, controversies, and hidden truths shaping the world of entertainment. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, sometimes the biggest battles aren't the ones happening on stage. They're the ones taking place behind the scenes, where power, influence, and reputation truly determine who controls the game.